Hey, good morning and welcome to our ribbon cutting ceremony for the salt waste processing facility. I'm Michael Budney. I'm the site manager here at Savannah River site, and we're glad you can all make it here this morning. If you would please stand now, and we'll have a playing of the national anthem. So thank you, Mr. Fred Williams, for that stirring rendition. And again, thanks for everyone for being here. Special thanks to all our employees who are joining us live stream. Of course, COVID has put more than just a little wrinkle in our operation here this morning. It's not quite what we were thinking we'd do months ago, but we're making it work, and we appreciate all those folks who put so much hard work and dedication being able to join us online. I'd also like to thank the folks who worked so hard to put this event together this morning, especially Mark Delmore, who leads our COVID response team to make sure all our protocols were in place, and Amy Boyette, who directs our Office of External Affairs to coordinate all these events. So well done to those folks making this happen. Undersecretary DeBar, Mr. Harrington, and Representative Wilson, thanks for coming here today. We appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. We really appreciate the opportunity to recognize the completion of the salt waste processing facility that we are on the verge of operating. I want to recognize several other distinguished visitors with us here today. Thomas Cubbage, our Deputy Undersecretary for Science. Ike White, Senior Advisor for Environmental Management to the Undersecretary. Nicole Nelson-Jean, the Associate Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Field Operations. Carrie Smith, Chief Operating Officer at Parsons. Don Saran, Assistant Bureau Chief, Bureau of Land and Waste Management, representing South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Rob Pope and John Richards from the Environmental Protection Agency. In addition to Representative Wilson, we have Emily Salibi and Martha Rubin from his staff, as well as his wife Roxanne and son Hunter, so welcome. William Smith is joining us from Senator Lindsey Graham's office, and Kelly Long is here on behalf of Senator Tim Scott. And we also are privileged to have Gary Bunker, the Aiken County Chairman, also with us today. So thanks for everybody for attending. This is a big day for the site. For the state of South Carolina, for the Department of Energy, and I believe for the nation, as we recognize the completion of Swpf, which will usher in a new era in processing the radioactive material that we have to dispose of here at the site. We believe that salt waste processing will enable us to achieve our plan to remove all the material from the tanks and remove all the tanks from service within about 15 years, decades faster than we would have been able to do with our previous capabilities. Our success in bringing this project to the fruition is primarily due to the superb contractor and government team we have here at SRS. There are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that had to come together to do this. Started a long time ago with the people who developed the chemical processes that we proved out by operating ARP-MCU for about 11 years. Shut that facility down last year in preparation for bringing on SWPF. And then, of course, we had to get the balance of our plant ready for this because SWPF doesn't operate all by itself. Our management and operations contractor, Savannah River Nuclear Solutions, ensured all their services that were required to support this activity were ready throughout. Our teammates at Savannah River Remediation did a superb job of preparing all the systems upstream and downstream of SWPF, and they are ready today to go. Frank Shepard put together a team that successfully completed the rigorous readiness assessment process. Pulling together a team to operate a brand new nuclear facility is no small task. My own experience was trying to get a submarine out of overhaul after we'd taken it apart and put it back together. And there, at least we had half the crew who'd been there operating when we came in. Here we started from scratch. And so that's a monumental effort to put together a brand new team. But his leadership team, I'd like to mention just a few folks who I've come to know over this time. His deputy, Tom Burns, plant manager, Mike Pittman, deputy plant manager, Glenn Johnson, director of program development and integration, Jerry Long, operations manager, Dave Griffith, deputy ops manager, John Rockelman, and the maintenance manager, Justin Schulte. Their leadership of the Parsons team had enabled us to get to this point. It's been a challenge, and that's no surprise. They worked through material issues, vendor issues, and delays, myriad of tests and qualification examinations required to prepare the plant and personnel to operate. It's good to be at this point finally, Frank. I know you agree with me on that. Pam Marks is our federal project director, has led our DOE project team for the past 7.5 years. She's done an incredible job of setting and verifying a high standard all the way from the final stages of construction through the readiness assessments to get us to CD4. Her team included Pam's deputy, Shane Farrell, our facility representatives, Maya Gaskins, Keith Sandroni, Steve Stamper, and Tammy Wise, our engineering and nuclear safety staff, Ken Hewitt, Bob Glugamore, and Tom Temple, readiness manager, Mac Hogel, testing and commissioning, Jeff Howe, and Kim Rapp in project controls, as well as support from other DOE SRS offices of safety, contracts, and emergency preparedness. Pam also coordinated all the parties outside the project, both on and off site, who had equities ensuring its success and its certification. And that is, anybody's had to do that, know that's a challenge, to keep all those folks headed in the same direction. She formed a line management review board that brought together all the DOE offices on site that had to, on a regular basis, concur on processes to do the certification and on the results of those processes to verify that we'd done them correctly. Her leadership in the significant undertaking really made the government side of the certification process more efficient. Very, very well done, Pam. And now I'd like to give us an opportunity for our distinguished guests to speak. First up is our very own Congressman, the Honorable Joe Wilson, who will provide us some remarks. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, it's so special to be here because I'm an alumnus of DOE and worked there as Deputy General Counsel. But then I'm also an alumnus and the only member of Congress who's ever worked is Savannah River site. So I know the professionalism and the people here, and what a continuation, the public-private partnership, beginning with DuPont, and then continue on. So congratulations, Parsons. And to see what this means. And another side of this, as I think of the Savannah River site, I also think of Cold War victory. The success of what the people have done here to provide for freedom and liberty around the world. My wife Roxanne and my son Hunter, I'm really grateful we've actually been together to Latvia, Lithuania, throughout Central Europe, to Romania, Bulgaria, to visit the Republic of Georgia, Armenia, and then in Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. None of these countries were free. Now they are free, and they're great allies to the United States. And it's through peace, through strength. So it's just humbling to be here. It's inspiring to be here. Congratulations on the success. And any way that I can be of service in the future, please let me know. God bless each of you here. Thank you.
A brief delay while we follow our COVID protocols to make sure everything's safe for the next operation. Now, if I could, I'd like the chairman of the Parsons to come up, Chuck Harrington, and provide us with some remarks.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Representative Wilson. Just a great speech. And to Undersecretary DeBar and Mike, thank you for that great introduction. And Ike, good to see you here as well. This is really a great day for all of us. As you said, this is a very, very important mission. We're celebrating a historic milestone and a transition into full operations of the salt waste processing facility. So the Savannah River site and the salt waste processing facility are really critical to the national mission and safety, as Mike was saying. We're remediating decades-old nuclear waste and really delivering a safer tomorrow and a better world. I've been personally involved with the Savannah River site and Department of Energy since I was hired onto Parsons in January of 1982. I know I only look 35, but it's been a long haul. Initially, I worked on projects at INEL and Hanford and Rocky Flats and other locales out west. But in 1991, I moved to Charlotte to lead Parsons' subsidiary Charles T. Main's work out here at Savannah River site, including all the hazardous waste sites, of which this is part of that complex. And it's really been an amazing journey along the way. I was actually on the proposal review team for salt waste processing facility in 2001. And during that thing, there's been 2 or 3 different things that have been common throughout this. One is just the absolute commitment to innovation and technology. And I think this site, this project, and this process is an excellent example of that. 2, the commitment to nuclear safety and nuclear remediation has also been throughout that whole legacy. And thirdly, and certainly not lastly, has been the commitment to safety. The environmental safety and health of everyone who's worked on this site, as well as the general public. And I think kudos to the team and the leadership of DOE during that period. So in 2002, DOE selected Parsons to design, build, and start up and commission and operate the salt waste processing facility. 31 million gallons of salt waste with a mission to process that waste is 7.3 million gallons per year. That was the mission. Today, the initial steps of that have been completed, and now we embark upon full operations. So the Parsons team designed and built this with DOE, and we achieved the target date, in fact, beat the date by 8 months, achieved the target price, in fact, beat that by $65 million. And through testing, we've shown that the plant is capable of processing these 31 million gallons at 9 million gallons per year. So we're ahead of the 7.3. That's really a great accomplishment for all the people who've dedicated so much of their lives to this successful mission. Thank you. So above all, as I said, I think what I'm most proud of is the health and safety record of this project for such a long period. And we all know that the project's been recognized and received commemorations from many, many parties. I think the one that I am perhaps most proud of is the fact that this team was able to receive the Occupational Safety and Health Administration's VPP Star status, not just for an exemplary health and safety program, but for exemplary health and safety performance. So just to put that in context of what that means, after 3 million hours worked, the SWPF team completed a 3-year test period without a lost workday incident, and is currently on a 15-month cycle with no recordable injuries. That is fantastic performance. So I'm proud to say that safety has been a core value of Parsons for many years, and we can see when a team comes together, what it can accomplish and how many people benefit. So SWPF has also been a very vital project to the local economy here in Aiken. At peak, Parsons and our subcontractors employed a talented team of 1,000 professionals. And currently we have nearly 500 who all live, work, raise their families, and shop in this local economy. And that's been a great thing as well. So at the end of the day, the success of the SWPF would not be possible without teamwork, technical collaboration by a lot of brilliant people, management alignment on clear objectives, and an overall partnering approach. And to that, hands off to the collective team of Department of Energy and Parsons. So in addition to the dignitaries who join me upstage, I would also like to thank a couple of people. And first of all, Pam Marks, the SWPF Federal Project Director, for your leadership, and Shane Farrell, the Deputy Director. Thank you so much. You provided the insight, the vision for us to follow. I'd also like to thank Frank Shepard, the Parsons Project Manager, and Dr. Tom Burns for your contributions to this as well. We all thank you for the leadership that you brought to the program. So in closing, I'd like to again thank Paul DeBar, Ike White, Mike Budney for entrusting Parsons with this vital and critical mission. Parsons looks forward to continuing, I know this is a long time, a 60-year history of working with Department of Energy and its predecessor agencies. And SWPF is not our only project where we're helping the mission. We also have a vital role in the Hanford M&O contract and are participating in the Engineering Construction Management Services contract where we're helping project delivery across the platform. So as we celebrate here today, I'd just like to leave us with one thought. The best is yet to come. Thank you and congratulations again for exemplary and superior performance.
You know, I like to do, like Chuck said, safety first. I note there's a couple people who might be sitting in the sun here. If you want to relocate your chair a little bit, you know, move back a couple feet, you might feel more comfortable than. And next up, the Honorable Paul DeBar will provide us some remarks. I got to warn you, I learn something new every time I hear Paul talk, whether it's in a private conversation or public. Last night we were at dinner. Two separate tables. Paul was at one, I was sitting at this other, and we were having conversations, and our table was talking about all kinds of things. COVID, you know, IT issues we had during COVID, the weather, family, and we had a little lull in the conversation, and we overhear over at Paul's table, he's leading the discussion about antimatter. So it's a whole nother level when you get to hear this guy talk. So please, Mr. Secretary.
I thought y'all be talking about Navy.
Okay, great. Well, it's wonderful to be here. It's a fine Chamber of Commerce day. So as we were just with the mayor and others here from the delegation and town, Mike, thank you for your leadership for where we are here today. There's a number of people to thank. I'll go through a few. Chuck and the Parsons team, thank you for your focus and leadership that got us here today. I'd like to thank Congressman Wilson, who supported appropriations, focus on the Savannah River site. There's no greater member support in Washington, D.C. than Member Wilson. So thank you very much for your leadership for support here. And Senators Graham and Scott on the Senate side, supporting budget, supporting the DOE mission throughout. And finally, I'd like to thank Pam for your leadership that got us here today, and I'll give a few comments about the importance of that. Obviously, the state has been very supportive of us in the overall, and we were just with Governor McMaster in town, this site has a long history that we were talking about earlier today and talking about here at this event. This was stood up as part of the Manhattan Project. Obviously, a lot of what we have done here today and what we're processing here today is based on this nuclear security mission. But it's not just about the nuclear security mission. It's not just about yesterday. It's about today. And so when you think about this facility and what it supports and what it operates, it's not just what happened in the Manhattan Project. There's a lot of production that goes on here today for the science mission, for discovery that happens that this facility will facilitate. I'll give you a few examples. Because of this facility and our ability to operate this, the HIFER reactor at Oak Ridge National Lab is going to be able to be run, and the fuel is going to be able to be processed, and we're going to be able to keep running that mission and future missions for whatever will replace HIFER into the future. The HIFER reactor and the fuel that this facility will be able to operate produces medical isotopes that cure people's cancer. That's what this building stands for, right? Is about the ability for us to support that. Something else that just happened at the complex that this facility will support will be the production of plutonium for discovery in the universe. And the production that happens at HIFER and elsewhere across the complex, that the fuel that will come here that would not happen without this building, we wouldn't be able to send the rover to Mars that just took off and is now on the way to Mars. Because the plutonium and the production that came from Oak Ridge and the fuel that's processed through here allows us for the Perseverance rover to land on Mars, and ultimately our ability to be on the moon or to be on Mars will be facilitated by this building. So it's great to talk about yesterday. Obviously, I'm a Navy nuke, like several others around here. And that is an important mission that this is supporting, but it's supporting a vast amount more for discovery in the universe. This facility, I think as was mentioned by Chuck, was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. For anyone who knows what I like to say that line. I like to say it often, as much as possible. And I think what's important about the complex and what Pam and everyone else here has been part of this is that as challenges come up, and big nuclear facilities always have big challenges, is how to go address it, how to keep going, how to drive it forward, and how to get it done. And that's what's just happened. There's been a number of successes. I'd like to talk a little bit about the complex here right now recently, and that the EM complex overall has had some great successes in the past. I think historically people would look at the time of EM and look at the successes around Rocky Flats and around Mound and around Fernald. And those were great times in the program. We were able to take sites that were there to produce Pit Mission and others, and to clean up those sites and return them to the local community. Notwithstanding everything that was done wonderfully back then, I actually think today is the highlight and the high point for the complex. While doing D&D for the complex is certainly challenging, building large, unique nuclear facilities is harder. And the complex is completing 3 at the same time. And so the first one is here. The second one is IWTU in Idaho. And the last one is that we just commissioned the first building, and within a few months we will finish construction at the DFLAW facility in Hanford to process waste, to clean up the local communities, just like here. Never has, take a nuclear organization and produce, construct, and put into operation 3 unique nuclear facilities all at the same time, I think is a definition of success and a high watermark. But it's not just that. What else has everyone here in this room or outside here been a part of? Let me give you just a few examples of what's just been completed in the last year or so. The K reactor, the last plutonium production reactor at Hanford, we removed the final radioactive materials from the last plutonium reactor at Hanford ahead of schedule and under budget. We completed the D&D of the vitrification plant at West Valley. For the first time since 2011, the department, under the leadership of Secretary Briette and Secretary Perry, reached agreement with Governor Newsom to move forward in the cleanup of the space site, the nuclear space site at ETEC in the Simi Hills. And we have completed, in a period of only about 2 months, 9 out of the 10 of the buildings are now done in 2 months. And we're going to complete that on budget and ahead of schedule. In a couple of weeks, we will be celebrating the cleanup of the K-25 reactor at ETTP at Oak Ridge. Those you may be familiar with it, K25 was the enrichment plant that produced uranium for the Manhattan Project. It was a very large facility, and we're cleaning that up. First time any of the large Manhattan Project facilities on the uranium side have been cleaned up and handed back to the community. We will be completing that 4 years ahead of schedule and $500 million below budget. And I'd like to thank Member Wilson for that, because we were able to accomplish that because of budget support. So we were able, it is kind of stunning when you think about $500 million below budget, and is why. And obviously the operations and everyone there at the site have done a wonderful job, but we were able to accomplish that because there was confidence on the Hill that we had an important mission, and we got higher funding than what was planned, and we were able to actually execute on that funding. And so that mission is done. We are turning over the Tonopah test range to the Office of Legacy Management. So we talk about Mound and we talk about the others that have been cleaned up and turned over. That's the first one that's been turned over to Legacy Management and now done from EM since 2012. And right here at SWP, in addition to SWPF here at Savannah River, we've consolidated 400,000 cubic yards of coal ash and contaminated soil 14 months ahead of schedule and $9 million under budget. So that's just actually a small fraction of the successes that have happened over the last 3 years. And we have a number of things coming up both here and across the complex. The last thing I would like to talk about is I would actually like to make an announcement that people had not expected to hear about. Something was not on the schedule. As you may, as people in this community, in the broader EM community, and right here in South Carolina knows, that we have been very much focused on how do we accelerate cleanup, and not just low-level waste, but high-level waste. And how do we get it from the tanks, and how do we treat it, and how do we accelerate that cleanup? I think as many of people here know, about a year ago, we reviewed and sent out for public comment around the definition of high-level waste that's encompassed in the Nuclear Waste Policy Act from 1982. And historically, the department had classified waste based on source rather than how radioactive it was. And I certainly spent a lot of my time with the advisory board before I became undersecretary asking about why waste was not determined based on how radioactive it was, but rather it was based on source. And as a former Chem Radcon assistant on a nuclear submarine, that always confused me. We were able, as many of you know, we put out for public comment about whether we should be basing it based on science rather than based on where it came from. And we changed the policy of being able to look at waste stream after waste stream that currently is classified as high-level waste, waiting for a high-level repository to send it to, which as of right now is not going to be open anytime soon. And it is here, and much of the high-level waste is here in South Carolina waiting for something to be open. We went ahead and said that we were going to be basing it going forward, taking a look at waste based on radiological content, and we decided that the first waste stream that we should look at is here in South Carolina. This last year, we went ahead and announced that we were going to be taking a look at a certain waste stream and evaluated it from a science point of view and determined it was low-level waste. It was from the Defense Waste Plant right around here. And we put it out for a public comment. And we said that we were going to move forward with taking that waste, processing it, and shipping it out of South Carolina for permanent disposal. I can announce today that it's shipped and it's out. And so today is, to be clear, it was only 8 gallons. But to slightly paraphrase a former president, one small step for EM, one giant leap for environmental management. But for us to use a science-based approach and to work here in South Carolina with a great local community to be able to move forward on a science basis, based on a radiological and chem-radcon basis, and a good Navy background, and be able to accelerate cleanup where that material would not have been able to be disposed of, possibly for a decade or longer, and we were able to get it done just now. So I'd like to thank everyone here who was part of that process. So this trip was a big one. It's 3 things going on all at once here in South Carolina. We finished the building. We are starting a building, and we were just at the AMC groundbreaking with the governor and with Member Wilson, and we completed the first high-level waste project and have shipped it out of South Carolina, all here today. So this is an exciting day for us here at the department. I think hopefully it's an exciting day for everyone who's here. Under the president, under Secretary Perry, Secretary Brouillette, we've been highly focused about how to get things done. And hopefully with the example of the 3 topics here today, that's a great example. And thank you for everyone here who's been part of one or all 3 of those. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next, we'll have a ribbon cutting. If the folks on the stage and in the front row could follow, if you want to lead us over there, Pam. I think we're going that way, not that. And if everybody else just remain where you are until we finish the ribbon cutting.
Another successful project.
Everyone, we definitely like to thank you for joining us here today. What a great day for Savannah Riverside, and what a great day for the United States and for the state of South Carolina. You're welcome to leave now. Please exit the way you came in. Please be patient, as we will socially distance as we exit as well. And please, everyone, be safe and have a great weekend. Thank you for coming.